Well, hi friends, good morning and welcome to practically the middle of January. I think it may actually just be past. Yes, it's the 16th. It's Friday, the 16th of January, and thank you for spending some time with me. I'm Wendy, and you are watching the Mundane Midlife podcast. I'm happy to be back. I'm saying a lot and tinkering with camera angles as I do. I have some finished objects, and I thought that I would do a recording to talk about them because they are freshly off my needles, and that's exciting for me. So let me get into it. I've got some finished objects, some things that I'm working on, and I'm going to talk to you guys about my word of the year and my angel of the year, because that is something that I'm excited about. Okay, so the first thing that I finished that I may actually put on, because it's not even 30 degrees here in South Carolina, is the How Quiet hat. So How Quiet is a pattern that was in the 2018 Knit Vent pattern bundle by Helen Stewart. Every December, I think she's still doing it, she releases a beautiful set of patterns called Knit Vent, and she has done some really beautiful wraps that you can use your minis if you've gotten and treated yourself to an advent calendar. But I bought this Knit Vent back in 2018, and I've knit a couple patterns out of it, and one of the things that had been on my list that I had wanted to knit for a long time was the How Quiet hat. So this was knit out of a DK skein of tweed that I got from SSK Yarners, which is a dyer up in the upstate of South Carolina. I have not checked Etsy to see if the dyer is still in business, because that was back in 2018. And I'm not even sure that I've got the hand-painted sock blank with me, but it was a DK weight sock blank, and it came with this really fabulous, beautiful, like rose gold pom-pom. And I have not gotten my act together well enough to attach the pom-pom, but that is what it's going to look like in all of its fabulousness. As you can imagine, because it was in a blank, not a sock blank, but like a knitted blank, it was pretty kinky. I had not thought about that. So I ended up finishing this and soaking it, because honestly, when I finished it, the whole entire project was pretty much from here on up. And then the wonder of soaking and superwash yarn is that things grow. So I just soaked this in warm water and blocked it very gently and hung it out here on one of my plant stands. So this is the How Quiet hat by Helen Stewart. Very enjoyable knit. One of those knits, honestly, that like I was working on the decreases and I was like, wait, that's it? It's done? Really? Like, I think every once in a while I have the beautiful experience of knitting patterns that when they're done, I'm a little bit like, womp womp. And this was that, definitely. It did require just enough brain power for me that I did not mess with this if I was tired. And with the way that PTO worked for me at work, I really had not worked a full Monday through Friday work week since the end of November, if not earlier, maybe middle of November. So I've had 2 or 3 weeks of fully working full days, and I can't even say that really for January, because it's Friday and I'm off for my birthday. My birthday is on Monday. It's the 19th of January, which is also a federal holiday here celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King. Okay, so I put this hat on and it messed with my hair. So, okay, let's get back to it, shall we? I think we shall. I also finished, now this was, when I was working on it, it was known as Just For You 12. It has since been renamed and updated because that's what Laura Ayler does. Laura Ayler is Fogbound Knits, and every December she puts out a really lovely knit along that is really supposed to be just for you, especially if you're someone who knits a lot for the holidays and you give things. I'm not that person. I'm just not that person, but I do look forward to her knit along. And normally she creates patterns that are really beautiful cowls, and I love them. Last year she did like a cowl and fingerless mitts that I really enjoyed. This year the pattern is called Fault Lines, and this is it. So it is a cowl in worsted weight. I used some locally grown and milled alpaca and merino. You can't really see it, but it does have flecks of like seafoam green in it, from Carolina Pastures. And I normally, in December, there's normally like a crafters market at the State Farmers Market that is really, really close to my house. And I got a skein of yarn from them last year and knit a Shayna Lines cowl with it. It was lovely, and their yarn does not disappoint, but it's got little, you can't see it, but they're little tiny flecks of green in there. And again, so knit flat, seam together, but not really, because this is kind of the part that I had not done when I showed this to you last time. So the green yarn is some worsted weight Lydia yarns. Green, she's not dyeing anymore. She was a dyer in South Carolina that ended up relocating for work out to the West Coast. And this is lovely and warm, and when I wear it, it just kind of sits right up here. And I'm just not really doing myself any favors with my hair today. So these are the two things that I have finished. I've not picked up any more on the Boxing Day bonus, but I do plan on knitting that. I also, though, treated myself to a couple of patterns, and I did not realize, I missed, I think, the announcement that Shayna Lines, who is Shayna Cohen, had new patterns. And I'll be completely honest, and I talked a little bit about this, I think, in one of the podcasts that I did towards the end of last year. At the beginning of October, my brother died unexpectedly. My brother was 46. He was 2 years younger than me. And I can't really remember a whole lot from that time. I know that I was here. I know that I was working. I know that I was teaching jazzercise. I know that I cried so much that I was really worried that I was going to have, like, that something was going to be wrong with my eyes. But I missed entirely the debut or the announcement that this cowl was released. And so I'm actually knitting with some hand spun, which is what I've been trying to do more of. And so I'm knitting the Tater Tots bandana, Tater Tot bandana, designed really for your hand spun. And I am working this, I think the pattern calls for size 4 needles, as I talked about last time. I don't know where my size 4s are, so I'm doing size 5. I think it'll be fine. I'm the boss of my knitting. I will take that risk. But this is called Bright's Rainbow, and it is some hand spun that I did a while ago from my friend Rachel, who at the time had Cattail Knits. And this was a 50-20-20 50-25-25 superwash merino bamboo and silk. So it's going to have beautiful drape for sure. And according to this, I knit 322 yards. So here's the hand spun caked up. I love it because it's muted, right? Because it's got the bamboo and the silk in it. It kind of mutes the splash of Bright Rainbow. And this is what I have so far, and it has been so enjoyable to knit on. So enjoyable to knit on. So the pattern looks like it's knit flat. I might tinker with it to see if I can figure out how to make a loop or something. I inadvertently, with the cast on, have got like a little loop here, so I might be able to knit this long enough to put one tail through the other and wear it as a bandana. I don't know. We'll have an adventure with it as we do. So this is probably the way to show you. So I have definitely been knitting more. And that has been something that I have been enjoying. I also talked about this in one of my podcasts last year. I decided to be a reoccurring donator to PBS, NPR. One of the, because funding for that got cut. It's non-existent in this current dictatorship that we are currently surviving in. And so I have really enjoyed the Ken Burns documentary that he's done on the Revolutionary War. It's like a 6-part series, 2 hours, and I watch them a little bit at a time, and it's astounding because I remember some of it and the big parts of it around the history of how our country came to be, but it's been fascinating to me. So if you're someone who likes stuff like that, I have been that's one of the things that I do now to kind of treat yourself, is like I sit and I watch and I knit. That's what I do, and I think it's so fun and enjoyable. And I know I'm not centered, and it's bugging me a little bit, so I'm going to try to shift this a little bit and see if I need to move over here a little bit more. So I'm knitting on that. And one of the things that I did, I talked about this last time, is that I spent a lot of time going through and kind of zhuzhing, tossing the stash, if you will. And I have one other thing to show y'all that I completely forgot to grab. So let me pause this and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. One of the things I'm most excited about is that I think after 26 years together, 25 years together, I have finally knit a hat that fits my husband's gourd head. This is a huge achievement because every time I've tried to knit him a hat, it ends up being too small. And I have to tell you, I had some help. So if you've watched for many years, you know that I did probably 13 years ago, there was the Hats for Grammy hat drive where I donated hats for the church that my grandmother King was a member of, Grace United Methodist here in Columbia, South Carolina, because they have a homeless ministry where they go and they feed the homeless once a month. And I still order pecans from them, or pecans, depending on how you say it. They do pecan or pecan sales in November, and every November I normally take them hats that I've knitwear things that don't fit, that don't work for me anymore, for them to donate to the homeless. And you guys probably know where I'm going with this because I have been cranking hats. And so the only way that I figured out how to make a hat that would fit my husband's gourd head, and he will tell you he has a big old noggin, is I did hats on my Centro knitting machine. Now let me tell you, one of the things that's also happened for me is that I felt a little bit like Oprah, and I have channeled my Oprah energy, and I've looked at skeins in my stash, and if they don't bring me joy, I'm like, you're going on the knitting machine, and you're going on the knitting machine. So I have cranked probably maybe 10 hats so far, and it's really just like I had downtime, or I'd be in meetings where I just had to listen. And y'all know the magic and wonder of a knitting machine. Like, you throw it on there, you watch it, and then you go. You crank until your heart's content. And in 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops, you've got yourself a tube that you can work the magic and make a hat. So this is the hat that my husband loves the most. This is made, I cranked this out of Mint Rain yarns. This was sent to me by someone who is very dear to me. It's the 4th of July. It's called Let's Have a Capital Time. I think that's what it's called. Mint Rain yarns, worsted weight, superwash merino. When it gets cold, which happens, this is on my husband's head. The other hat that I made for my husband that he wore for a while, but then he was like, this is a little itchy. And I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. This, I leveled up and I threw my hand spun on the knitting machine. This is Hanks in the Hood, a bat that I got from Knit Picks in the colorway Fudge. I think it's Fudge. I'm not really sure, but it is superwash merino, and it's also got silk in it. And my husband is like me. Silk, when I wear it on my head, is itchy. And so he started with this, and he likes it. And of course, because he likes dark colors, he turned it inside out. But he was like, this is a little itchy. So I made him this one. So I was working with the Centro, and I am not going to go bananas and throw a power drill on it, even though I still have the adapter that Amanda's husband made me many moons ago. I actually like the intentional motion of cranking. I do. But I will tell you that my Centro Pro knitting machine, it's the second one that I bought. I think I bought a new one last year because the other one was just toast. It was not getting it done for me. And I decided to treat myself because I do have a birthday on Monday. And I went and I got an Addy Pro King knitting machine. The thing is fabulous. Just the weight of it alone is worth what I paid for it. I think I found it for like $119 on Amazon. You have to like have good Amazon food because I saw it ranging in prices from like $200 to like $119, and I got it with Amazon Prime shipping, and it does a 46 stitch circumference where the Centro Pro does a 48 stitch circumference. So I got it and I'm so happy. I have been cranking with it. It's got enough weight in the base of it that you don't have to worry about it kind of flying around. For me with the Centro, what kind of put me over the edge was I had the plastic feet and then suction cups, and the suction cups were no longer sticking. And I was like, this is not an enjoyable experience for me, and I want to level up my experience. So that's what I did. So I'm going to show you what I've cranked, because I've got hats that I did both on the Centro and on the Addy, because I'm not getting rid of my Centro. I'm sentimental. I hang on to things. But this I made. This is some, I'm not even going to remember to tell you all the yarns. If I remember them, I'll tell you off the top of my head. I know that this is the vintage kitchen colorway, and then it's held double with some of Heather's yarn, Highland Handmaids, Ironwood. So this was done on the Addy. So here's one. This was done on the Addy. Now I'm going to tell you the other thing that I did, and this may be shocking, and this may be pearl clutching for some of y'all, but I'm going to be honest here. I don't like knitting socks anymore. I don't. And my hand knit socks that I have, I've got a drawer full. I don't wear a whole lot, and I still have probably 15 tubes that were cranked, and I'm rubbish at putting in heels, and I'm not good at it. No matter how many times I watch Kirby Warby's tutorial, it's fiddly for me. I don't enjoy it. I said what I said. So I have started to crank some of my sock tubes into hats because that's what makes me happy. So this is Girl at the Rock Show. Okay. Used to be Rock and String Fiber. She's under a new name. I'll put it here in the bottom if I remember. Rock and String. I took the blank, held it double, knit a hat. Now I didn't soak it. I was feeling like if I soak it, because it's still a little kinky if you get up close to it. It's still a little kinky. There's this one. This is hand spun. This is hand spun from Nerd Girl Fibers. I don't remember the name of it. Okay. More hand crank goodness. This was some Kirby Warby yarn and something else held double. This was done on the Addy. This is Lasso Knit Picks Felici held double on the Addy. This was done on the Centro Pro. This is some Hobby Lobby. I love this cotton. This is the first hat that I cranked on the Addy. It is Diabolical yarns and some leftover yarn. The Diabolical, I think, was the Wonder Woman colorway. The mascara, I think. And then this was one that was done on the Centro. This is like a screaming pink, hot pink from Plucky, and a colorway that my friend Rachel of Cattail Knits, Knit Me Happy, knit. So I have a goal of cranking like 60 hats. I think I'm probably going to surpass that, but it's been an enjoyable way to kind of go through. And I went through my stash and I pulled out sock yarn that I knew it was going to be unlikely that I made socks out of it or knit with it, because at this point I think I've been knitting for like 20 years, and I do believe, I think if you told me when I started to knit that I was not going to be interested in knitting with screaming rainbow colors, I would have rolled my eyes and told you to get out of here. But I really am kind of, it's beautiful yarn, but it's not necessarily something that I knit with anymore. So there's that. So I have been cranking hats, and it's been enjoyable, so enjoyable to be able to make things and know that they can be donated. I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to be able to crank more than 60 hats, I think. The last thing that I wanted to tell you about is my word of the year and my angel of the year. So I'm part of a membership community called School of Light, and it is hosted by Sunny Dawn Johnston, and she's brilliant. And if you are interested in like intuition, angels, all of that stuff, that is an area for me that I really have been investing a lot of time and energy in, and I have loved it so far. And what I want to say is she offers the opportunity towards the end of the year for you to purchase an angel of the year and a word of the year. And my angel of the year is Hadrianail. And Hadrianail is an angel that reminds you of how loved you were before you came down to earth. And my word of the year was mindful. And that's going to maybe show up backwards. I'm not sure. Maybe it will show up the right way. But this is selenite, which is a really good gem for clearing. And one of the things that I do is I have a pendulum that I work with to do just clearing for emotional energy and healing for myself. And I will wrap the pendulum around this to clear it, to clear the energy from it. And I'll be honest, when I learned that my word of the year was mindful, I rolled my eyes. And then if you read my Substack, my spirits, guides, and angels, I call them my misfits. And my misfits very gently kind of schooled me. And they were like, no, honey, the word is the word for a reason. You don't hold still very well. You don't hold still and focus on one thing at a time. You have always, and here over the last 2 years, you have really been buffering and missing things because you can't quiet your mind. So the word is the word. And I have to be honest, I didn't feel reprimanded. I mean, I felt a little schooled by it, but they're not wrong. I think probably since my mom's health started to decline and it became really clear that life was going to be changing big time for us, for me, I disconnected and had gotten into a really bad habit of not being focused. It would look like on the surface that I was being focused. And there's certain things that I am focused on. Like when I'm teaching jazzercise, very rarely am I rolling through like the laundry list or my grocery list in my head. I have to pay attention to what I'm doing. But when I was in meetings, I was always like tinkering with my other phone, doing other things, and I was missing important things. So my word of the year, whether I rolled my eyes or not, is mindful, which means that I'm just really trying to go slow. When I listen or watch things on YouTube or I listen to podcasts, I always listen to them on double time. But what I've been trying to do is slow down. What I've been trying to do is just focus on one thing at a time. Chris laughed at me because he said that he looked back at me because he and I, we have a tiny house. Our offices are in the same place. And he was like, I looked back there and you had a jazzercise routine video going, you were listening to a meeting, and you were also learning and watching a jazzercise video and doing the choreography at the same time. He was like, if that is not the snapshot of how I have watched you over the last 2 years, I don't know what is. And he was completely right. So my goal really is to just slow down, and see, if I can just be a little bit more intentional, and my hope is that it will help me be more present. And I think for me, my desire to not be present was because things were just so overwhelming. No, I don't think it's easy when anyone has got a loved one that's in failing health. And then on top of that, like knowing that my mom was not going to get any better. I think my distractibility or my inability to be fully present was probably the best way at the time for me to know how to take care of myself. And the really good news is that I've spent a lot of time over the last 2 years leveling up how to take care of myself with breath work and somatic exercises and breathing and anchoring and meditation. I'm far from perfect, but I definitely can manage those things a little bit better to allow me to be a little bit more present. So thank you for hanging out with me. I'm going to let you guys go, but I hope you guys are well. I'll see you later. Bye.